Democratic Party of Canada, the party of hope, love, and optimism. They are Canada's official opposition party in the House of Parliament. They had a captain. His name? Jack Layton. A man from Hudson, Quebec, with government in the traces of his blood. He was the great-grandnephew of William Steeves, a father of Confederation. Jack's father, Robert Layton, was a conservative cabinet minister for Prime Minister Brian Mulroney. Jack began his work in municipal politics in Toronto as a city councillor. He was an outspoken activist for the homeless, the homosexuals, and began the White Ribbon Campaign for awareness of violence against women. Then in 1991 he ran for mayor of Toronto. He lost by a considerable amount to June Rowlands. In city council he met his wife, Olivia Chow, where together they brought awareness to many problems that have been avoided by other city councillors. Following the loss, Jack returned to teaching at Ryerson University. In 2003 he decided to run for the federal NDP leadership. It was a one-ballot vote, and Jack took it home. The party was on a decline, continuously remaining the third, and then Jack saved them. During the 3 elections with the party, the amount of seats grew every year, and the most powerful one, 2011, where Layton and the NDP defied all odds.
Mr. Ignatieff's party was in power for 13 years, and there were lots of problems and many failures. And then Mr. Harper was in power for 5 years, and again, many failures. They, between them, have of course, supervised, whether it's corruption in government, real difficulties with our healthcare system, our environmental record on the world stage is in tatters, and when it comes to the economy, you're having a tougher and tougher time to make ends meet. And you've got a great chance to exercise that choice by voting New Democrat and giving us the opportunity.
On May 2nd, 2011, Jack Layton and the NDP rose from third party to becoming the official opposition party of Canada. Him and his party rose 36 seats to 103, and majority of those seats came from an area of Canada that many parties have tried to break through, Quebec, where in most elections the Bloc Québécois have reigned.
Importantly, the people of Quebec have sent a large New Democrat team to Ottawa.
Jack was a very powerful leader of the opposition, grilling Prime Minister Harper during question period.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
The government shut down the post office and is now trying to impose wages that are lower than the management was offering the workers. The Prime Minister has rendered collective bargaining pointless in this country. He's signaling that if you can't get what you want at the bargaining table, never mind, Ottawa will legislate it for you if you're an employer. Why bother to bargain? It's a terrible precedent, Mr. Speaker. Will the Prime Minister at least remove the wage section from this bill and let an arbitrator decide on this particular important matter? It's only fair.
During the summer break from Parliament, Layton held a press conference in Toronto, and once he walked into that room, he looked frail, skinny, and weak.
These tests, whose results I received just last week, also indicate that I have a new cancer, non-prostate cancer, that's going to require further treatment. So, on the advice of my doctors, I'm going to focus on treatment and recovery. I will therefore be taking a temporary leave of absence as leader of the New Democratic Party of Canada. And I'm going to fight this cancer now so that I can be back to fight for families when Parliament resumes.
As many wondered if Jack would recover, on August 22nd, 2011, many were shocked to hear this on their local news channel.
CTV National News with Lloyd Robertson.
Good evening. Across this country today, hearts sank and flags were lowered at the news that NDP leader Jack Layton had lost his battle with cancer. Layton died at his home this morning, surrounded by loved ones. The end came just 3 months after his greatest political triumph, leading his party to opposition status in the House of Commons. He was 61.
The outpour of supporters and grief gave the country a dark shadow for that day and the rest of that week. Supporters wrote on the walls of Toronto City Hall with chalk expressing their gratitude to Layton.
I've heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do you? Well, it goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah, hallelujah.
Prime Minister Stephen Harper expressed his thoughts and offered Jack's widow a state funeral for Layton, which has never been offered for a leader of the opposition. Olivia accepted, and the body of Jack Layton laid in Parliament for 2 days and another inside Toronto City Hall. Hours after his death, a 2-page letter Layton wrote to Canadians was released to the public. Here was his last words.
My friends, love is better than anger. Hope is better than fear. Optimism is better than despair. So let us be loving, hopeful, and optimistic, and we'll change the world. All my very best. Jack Layton.
September came and the NDP did not have a full-time leader for the new session of Parliament. Many NDP MPs were inexperienced in the House of Commons and are now without a captain to lead them. In the new year, the NDP held a convention to elect a new leader, and the NDP's first Quebec MP, Thomas Mulcair, was elected. Without Jack Layton, can this party hold its status of official opposition? During that new year, a by-election was held for Jack Layton's former riding, Toronto Danforth, and undoubtedly the NDP was able to retain the riding. Lately, Mulcair has grilled Prime Minister Stephen Harper about the Senate scandal, showing that the party still has a fight in them.
On May 28th, when the Prime Minister was first questioned about the deal with Mike Duffy, he said, and I quote, that he never gave any instruction to his staff on how to handle the Duffy scandal. But we now know from court documents, Nigel Wright went to the Prime Minister for approval of the deal. Why did the Prime Minister say something to Parliament that he knew was not true?
On November 25, 2013, another set of by-elections were held across the nation, including one really important riding, Toronto Centre. It has been a Liberal stronghold for 20 years, and since Bob Rae decided to step down, it was an opportunity the NDP could not resist. Journalist Linda McQuaig was nominated by the NDP to run. She went head-to-head with another journalist, Krista Freeland, who is running for the Liberals. The campaign was close, having many polls saying that the difference between the two was about 1%. On Election Day, many NDP supporters came out to McQuaig's victory party at the Hot House. Joined along the supporters were Olivia Chow, whose name was in the news that day after a Forum Research poll says she would beat Mayor Rob Ford in next year's mayoral race. And also Jack Layton's son, Councillor Mike Layton, was in attendance. The end of the night came and it was not what the NDP expected. The Liberals won the by-election, but the NDP took it as a victory. They were able to increase the amount of votes they had in Toronto Centre compared to 2011. But that question still stands. Without Jack, where is this party heading? I asked Linda McQuaig following her loss.
Do you think the loss of Jack Layton affects the party's progress?
The loss of Jack Layton, of course, is a terrible tragedy and a terrible loss to the party. But I think Tom Mulcair has been doing an excellent job in the House of Commons. I think the way he's been holding Harper to account in the House of Commons is just absolutely capturing the imagination of Canadians. Gives us a sense of what parliamentary democracy can really be all about.
I talked to NDP supporters at the party to find out how the death of Jack will affect and has affected the performance of their party.
There was a lot of support rallying behind Jack himself, and as much as many of us love Mulcair, he doesn't quite have the support that Jack did. That being said, I think Mulcair's support is growing, especially as he's holding Harper to account in QP lately. people are increasingly supporting Mulcair. So I think he has the potential to, gain support to the level that Jack did. So yes, it has been a setback, but we can recover.
Liberal leader Justin Trudeau is destroying Mulcair in the polls as of today, and during his victory speech in Bourassa, Quebec, he even quoted Jack Layton.
Because it is the Liberal Party tonight that proved that hope is stronger than fear, that positive politics can and should win out over negative.
The 2015 federal election is in about 2 years' time, and many believe the reason for the NDP's victory in 2011 was the fighting voice of Jack Layton. Jack fought for the youth, the homeless, and the middle-class Canadians whose voice needed to be heard, and the NDP still holds that belief and is still fighting for the little guys. Whether or not they will become government, stay in the position they are in now, or return to third, the spirit of Jack Layton is in every NDPer's heart and mind. I leave you with this, Jack Layton's most powerful words to everyone in the world. I'm Chris Pangelinan. Thank you for listening.
Don't let anyone tell you that it can't be done. It can be done. It will be done. We're on our way. Thank you all for being a part of this journey.